Hi, this is Nancy, and this is a documentation overview just to help you figure out how to do PAMKA documentation. What you're looking at on the screen is my Dropbox account. I have a folder called PAMKA 1516, and I will soon be creating a PAMKA Dropbox folder that everyone will have access to, and it will have this documentation information that you can see on the screen. So the first document that you need is called Documentation Brainstorm version 2, which is highlighted here. This is the document that you're going to go into and edit when you do your own documentation. And in that same folder, you'll also be given access to a few examples. Karen Gulliver has already done her documentation, and you can see there's some documentation examples just in case you need to get the right level of detail or want to read what other people have done before you get started. Once you're ready to get started, click into the Documentation Brainstorm version 2 document. You'll know that you're in it because it's the name is populated at the top. And it's instantly going to bring you into the document in a read view. So if you wanted to read the document, you could just scroll down and start reading it. But you guys are tasked with the job of actually using this template and creating your own documentation. So you'll most likely want to be able to download it. On the upper right-hand side, you'll see a few push buttons. Share, which will allow you to do exactly that, share the document. Open, which will allow you to open in an edit view. And this edit view is really for people using it just for a few small edits. What you really should be doing if you're going to change the document is going over here to Download View. This will download the document, a version of the document, to your own computer, and you can get started working on it from there. So this is the downloaded document that's now on my computer. And the first thing that you will see is the header says PAMKA Documentation Draft, and it has a date from February 2015 when we created it. You don't need to change anything in the header. What you're tasked with doing is changing the title here. It will reflect your role, and filling in the other sections. This is an example for the Tri-Campus Community Vice President, and this first blurb comes directly from the board manual that is on the internet, on our MK website. If I take you there quickly, and you go into the portal version, you'll be able to access the board document. Going into Welcome to PAMKA, PAMKA Organization, and then PAMKA Manual. And you need to go into the board manual right here. In this document, the work has already been done for you to create that overview of most of the positions on the slate. So instead of trying to create it yourself, it should actually exactly match whatever is in the board manual. If the board manual is a little bit out of date, please let someone on the PAMKA board know, and corrections will be made before the upcoming meeting, annual meeting in the spring. So I'm getting to the section here, sorry for all the scrolls, that just shows you that a lot of the write-ups are already created. This is the Community Vice President write-up, as you can see, and all you have to do is just take whatever section you need and move it into the document that you are updating. I'll move you back to my document, and that's where all of that information comes from. The next section is Essential Functions. This may also be fed from the board manual. Just read through it and see what's important to you and what's important to tell about your role. For this particular role, there are lots of people that fall under the window of community outreach, and so those different working relationships were detailed here. The next section is Key Working Relationships. In many of the roles that we have as part of PAMKA, we have to interface multiple times with lots of faculty members and staff. Those are the relationships you should document in this section. The next section is the timeline. And this is a high-level overview of all of the things that your role is responsible for, categorized by month. You really want to organize it in a way that makes sense and just give the high-level overview of the things that are happening inside of your purview of your role. It starts in May, which is when we start our PAMKA calendar, and it concludes in April, right around the time of our annual meeting. The next section is the budget. And the budget section can be as detailed as you'd like. There are many roles that require having an extensive PAMKA budget, and there are many roles that don't. Just detail whatever you feel is appropriate in this section. The next section is target dates and activities, and this provides a little bit more detail than the high level you saw in the timeline. For example, in the timeline, it said that there was going to be a blood drive at the upper school in November. And on this section, it gives specific responsibilities for the VP of Community Outreach in November to actually send out some thank you notes for that blood drive. The next section is called Public Relations, and this won't apply to every single role, but certainly for some of our large PAMKA positions like the gala and the book fair, there is a component that requires a public relations plan. And so if you do have a public relations plan, you can detail it here, or you can decide that it can be linked, and you can just note whatever the public relations document is called so people can find it in the PAMKA Dropbox. The next section, as you can see, is called Lessons Learned. And in the Lessons Learned section, it's exactly that. What did you learn while you were in this role? What are some things that the next head should consider as they think about this role going forward? And this will hopefully be a section that lives and breathes and gets updated every year, even if the basic function of the role does not change. And finally, the last section is called Other Key Documents or Folders. This is where you can detail other documents that help with this role. Obviously, this is a template. This is just supposed to be a quick and dirty, high-level overview of each role. But a lot of roles are large and require other documents to make sense of it all. And so you should just put the titles of those documents or those folders here so that the person reading this document knows, yes, this is an overview, but there's some other documents that you'll need for clarity. Please let me know if you have any questions. My email is nancylouisewheeler@yahoo.com, and I'd be happy to help you pull this all together. Thank you for your continued service to PAMKA and to our school.